Agatha All Along episodes 1 and 2 premiered, and I have a few things to say about it. We're going to do a quick review on it, just kind of talk about and break down the episode for a little bit, because there was some cool elements to it. There was some boring elements to it. There's some things that I have no idea where they're going with. There's some things I have no idea who and what it's about. I don't even know some of these characters' names. I don't know if I'm supposed to know some of these characters' names, but as of now, I don't know them. So I'm going to be referring to some characters as their real, person name, Aubrey Plaza and Joe Locke, and Catherine Hahn's character I know is Agatha. So it starts off with a kind of cringy cop story. There's funny elements to it, but we see characters from WandaVision, which was a good surprise and kind of shows a connection between these two shows, being that this is supposed to be a trilogy ending off with Vision Quest. It does seem like it takes place right after Multiverse of Madness. If you remember, Wanda was the villain to that movie, and we kind of saw her die, I guess. This show kind of hints that pretty much shows that she's dead, but breaking out of the spell was a cool kind of aspect that we saw. There was different versions of her from WandaVision, which is kind of a cool nod again to WandaVision and the fans of WandaVision. There was the modern version of her, like the 70s version of her, and also the black and white version of her. So WandaVision fans, you'll like that. Of course, right after that, we have the nude scene, which a lot of people might say they might have cooked on, It seems like my first impression was Wanda being dead kind of ended the spell, but we find out in episode 2 that might not be the case. When she starts to realize who she is and, the effects of WandaVision with Westview, Aubrey Plaza comes in, after she was being the cop for so long. And I'm assuming she is the bad guy at this point, or she is something. I don't really know. Is she bad? Is she good? But she does end up sparing Agatha, and then Joe Locke's character is just tied up. They caught him at the beginning when they were cops, but then it's really a little confusing. I'm not gonna lie. The Seasons of Witch song plays, and it's kind of a dope ending. And I remember seeing some reviews on Rotten Tomatoes saying the ending was probably the best part, and not even to say that it was like not a bad shot at them. It's just like the ending is a really cool thing, like with the credits. Then we go over to episode 2, which is really smart for them to do episode 1 and episode 2 together, because if we just got episode 1 on opening day, I don't think anybody would have liked it. Episode 2 kind of made it more of a better story. We find out Joe Locke's character is kind of a fanboy of Agatha, bringing up her solemn days, and we also find out that kind of broke her free of the curse. So it seems like my initial thought of Wanda being dead is breaking the spell might somewhat be true. Maybe it helped him, but it seems like he's the one that got her out of it. What his origins are, we don't really know yet. So after Agatha finds out from Aubrey Plaza that these witches are coming for her, these 7 witches, she kind of teams up with Joe Locke's character, or like kind of is like a sidekick to her. I don't know. People saying that he was the spotlight of the people saying that he was great in the show. I mean, he's all right. I don't see any. It really is Agatha is kind of carrying the show, and so they go to recruit people for her coven, other witches. There's some interesting, dialogue about witches that is cool. That like Agatha kind of give witches bad names. Like for example, she eats babies, and a weird thing, but it's funny. Kind of seeing the different viewpoints of witches, and I don't really know much about witch lore. I don't know if this is a thing. I don't know if people are into like this Halloween witch stuff would like this, but you let me know down below. They recruit all these witches, so it's kind of like getting the band together, not back together, but together, besides one, which is the Green Witch, where she ends up getting, I think the name was Sharon, who is a funny character. She was in WandaVision, if you remember from Westview. She was at that dinner party that was there at that time, I think when it was in black and white, if I remember the show correctly. And they had this weird harmonizing scene that kind of triggers what the show will go into. After that, we see where the 7 witches are coming from her, and it's kind of like a race against the clock, because it becomes clear at this point that Agatha was trying to steal these witches' powers because she's lost her powers, or doesn't really remember her powers, and that the witches meaning the ones that she recruited for her coven, not the witches that are after her. Some magic door opens on the bottom where they're able to escape and kind of go into a different dimension, and the witches that were after her are gone. And the credits are cool yet again, but my initial thoughts is that the show is, it's just okay. It's like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. I mean, I'm not on the edge of my seat waiting for next week's episode. I'll watch it, but I'm not like too excited about it. I actually think that this could be a cool show coming out at the perfect time for it being Halloween and, kind of getting into that Halloween feel. It may not have any replay value, but WandaVision fans will like it. I think people who are a fan of Halloween and witches will like it. But the reviews were right. Aubrey Plaza's character and Catherine Hahn's character, Agatha, together is probably the better part of the episodes, and I'm intrigued to find out more about Aubrey Plaza's character. There was some freaky elements to it, but it wasn't too crazy, wasn't too scary. I think it will get scarier as the show goes on. I don't think it will be like too scary, like a really horror movie, but it will have some funny elements and kind of some maybe jump scares, little things that'll be like, ooh, that's a little freaky, but nothing that will really make you turn off the show. I'll keep watching, but honestly, it's dependent on how good the show could be. I mean, I could turn this off at any moment. I mean, there was plenty of times that I caught myself on my phone and I wasn't really paying attention. But I'm going in with an open mind. If they didn't make the show, I wouldn't be too upset. I don't know if we really needed an Agatha story, but again, I'm open minded. Let me know if you watched episodes 1 and 2. Let me know all that down below. Are you going to watch the rest of the show?